Hi, Charlie. Thanks for spending the day with TC Electronic here in Malmö.
It was a good day.
It's been great fun. We've been knocking out tone prints and whatnot. But how did it all start for you with music?
With music, okay. It all started with music with me. Basically, I got my first guitar when I was 2 years old. Couldn't play it. I drug it around like a blanket when I was a child. Just music immediately had the effect on me. It was always a safe haven for me, a beautiful place for me, just as a listener. And growing up, when I did, like I would, as a little child, watch the Johnny Cash show on TV, and I just wanted to be Johnny Cash, you know. By the time I was 9 years old, I decided I really wanted to learn how to play. So I started trying really hard and played on stage for the first time the day before my 11th birthday. And was a lucky guy because growing up in Austin, Texas, I got to see tons of amazing music. I got to be close to and friends with and play with everything that town had to offer. And that was Jimmy Vaughn, Stevie Vaughan, and countless others. And so by the time I was, 12 years old, I was gigging professionally all the time. And it just led to all that, By the time I was 16, I made my first record. And been going ever since. So.
You're currently playing with Bob Dylan. Can you tell us how you got the gig back 16 years ago?
When I was 16 years old, a lot happened that year. I signed my first record deal, made my first record. I went to New York City to record with Ron Wood and Keith Richards, met them, worked with them. Ended up staying in New York to work with Woody. He said, will you stay longer and help me work on some recordings? I was like, yeah, I'd love to. And so one night at the studio in New York, he said, Bob's going to drop by. I said, okay. I didn't know what he was talking about. I mean, I figured it was someone named Bob, but it ended up being Dylan. So that was, roughly 1985 or something. He came by that night. We ended up recording a little bit that night with Woody and Bob and I. That's how we met. And then you skip, 15-something years later, ended up going out and touring with him. And it's been great, because I have the most respect for him. I've learned so much from him about music.
Something in particular?
Too much to even mention. I mean, it's a beautiful thing getting to work with him, because he is so aware of so much music, different styles, and he's got the knack for digging up the most amazing recordings of songs, to listen to. So it's been an education. It's been an education. Anything having to do with him my whole life, because my father was a big lover of his records. So I basically grew up listening to his records, and then kind of ironic, getting to work with him, So I've learned a lot from any record he's ever made prior to knowing him or working with him. And even since then, I've learned so much more about just about every kind of music available.
I had the pleasure to hear Bob Dylan band and you live last summer.
In Aarhus.
Yeah! TC hometown.
We love Aarhus.
Yeah. And a lot of the songs were very rearranged. Is that something that you have any influence on as a player, or how does that happen, like the rearrangements?
As far as the arrangements that he does, I've never met anyone that has more amazing ideas, more kind of just, I've made reference that it's almost like water that won't stop flowing. There's so many. I've never met anyone that has so much creativity just permeating from him. So they're his arrangements. I mean, he knows exactly what he's doing.
Will you be heard if you come with ideas, or do you just like play what's been handed out to you?
You know, he, like anybody, any musician, any artist out there, you're going to have requests for something you're looking for, and so you just do your best to keep up with it all. You know. Mm.
It was very country oriented. The show. Does it change, or is that
Always.
It always.
Always. That's part of the education. Is that I mean, even over the last 6 years, or like it's even hard to keep count. There's been genres and types of music and things that have come into play that I know a lot more about. Still don't know everything, far from it, but know a lot more now since those influences and those, you know, those ideas have come around.
We've been doing some tone prints.
Yes.
Today. What is your ideas of using effects? Can you tell us a little about that?
I think basically, I think they're all. I mean, I think like if you look, I mean, even look around us. There's a well, we can't really look around us, but there's a varying array of guitars here, and they're all tools. They're all have a certain sound, a certain thing, and I think effects. They should, you know, same thing. They're tools. You can create textures, sounds, all these things. What's for me ultimately what it's about. It's about I'm really song driven, you know. So that's the way I use effects. I mean, some things are going to be a little, depending on who I'm working with or what we're doing, will be a little bit more, you know, a little bit more less stealthy than other times, you know. But it's all about serving the song, and it's, certain effects can give you ideas, you know, which is good. And it was fun, you know. A lot of times I'll use them a little more subtly at times than some will, and other times I don't. Really, whatever suits the song.
Which effect types are you using when you're on tour with Dylan, the current tour?
On the current tour, I don't use as much effects as I would at other times, and it's just sort of based on what's, you know. You know, it's important. It's really funny because there's you know, my scope of what I like musically is pretty wide in general. You know, it's not exclusive to one genre or even one music from one part of the world, for that matter. And the same thing goes for sounds. You know, sometimes you want something to be more organic. Sometimes you want to push the envelope a little bit. The effects things I use more in the studio, on my own records, on other people's records that I produced or played on, than with him. You know.
You produce a lot as well.
Yeah, I have over the years done a fair amount of production, which happened naturally and kind of by mistake, you know.
Do you have any production in the pipeline?
At the moment, I'm not producing anything right now. I've been touring so much and what have you. The time that I have had off recently, I've focused on writing, which is something I haven't had a chance to do for quite some time. So that's been good.
What kind of style?
What kind of style? That's a good question. A few different things. Really, what I'm working towards is a concept that I've been having for a while, and that's sort of 3 projects that are one project. They kind of, which is the concept is to make things a little more creatively freeing, and that's one thing I've learned from someone I've been working with is that there's, there's many different ways you can take one song, and it's freeing that way. So I got a little concept I'm working on. So
we look forward to hear it once.
Yeah, me too.
Thanks for taking time to do this with us today.
No, thanks for having me.